Hello and welcome to the Bathroom Break Podcast. I'm your host, Rab himself, and today my guest is artist Kevin Llewellyn. Dude.
Hello.
We are in your lair right now, and it is fucking incredible.
Thank you.
Like, I'm blown away, man. I mean, looking at your artwork, you know, through photos on Instagram or on whatever's on the internet search and stuff like that, it was like, damn, you know, I was blown away when I saw that, because you see some of them, and it's like a photograph, and then you're like, wait, no, that's a painting, you know, and then
cool.
to see it in person is even better.
That's
I mean,
awesome. Thank you.
For real. It's like it's like I don't even know where to start when I get here. I'm like,
you're too kind.
Overload. You know, you just feel like I want to stare at this for a while, see what's in that. I couldn't imagine if I ate mushrooms and came in here. You know? It would be you know, just so endless amount of entertainment.
That's awesome. Thank you,
dude. For real, I'm impressed.
That's nice.
It's really cool. So I imagine as soon as you started, you were this good.
No. It still tries. I mean, I'm still always trying to improve and learn, and you know, it's a constant, you know, sort of battle with myself to try and
No, I know. I joke
always
because
attain a higher level.
We were joking earlier because it is like I just started trying to learn how to paint, and I would say because of people like you, I would just never try it. You know, I look at that, I'm like, fuck.
But don't do that though. You don't know. You should do it. You should do it. Yeah.
But you just thought like, I would never get to that level. What's the point? But it has been a lot of fun just kind of getting into it and starting to learn.
That's cool.
Really mellow techniques and just trying to figure out textures and things like that.
Yeah.
But how did you like? What got you into it?
I mean, I used to, you know, go to the art museum like at the, you know, at the Butler Institute of American Art in Youngstown, Ohio all the time. And I would go there as a kid and see all these, like, you know, old master paintings and even contemporary painters and just, you know, all sorts of artwork that, you know, I grew up going there, and seeing that just made me I mean, I was there one time on a field trip in 4th grade, and I remember seeing this painting by Harvey Dinnerstein, and it was a life-size painting of a figure.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I couldn't believe it was like a painting.
Yeah.
And it was just like, whoa, like, well, you can do that with. I mean, I was already drawing, I was already obsessed with art and all that, but I didn't know you could actually paint like a realistic, you know, figure. And then it just blew my mind. I was like, wow, I'm gonna be a painter. Like, I thought I was just gonna be like a drawer or something. But I'm like, I mean, I knew I was an artist, but it was like, and so the museum really affected my, like, you know, I guess kind of outcome in life, or it's not over yet, but
but it put you in that direction.
That path as far as being like a you know, fine artist.
So, but you were already kind of into it, so like naturally from the beginning, you were like obsessed with drawing.
Yeah, my mom always. It's funny, like she'll say that, or she always talks about how, like, whenever I guess I was in like preschool or something, I would I'd always be drawing. But like, if you didn't put a new piece of paper in my way, like once I was done with the drawing, I guess I threw it on the floor.
Yeah.
And then I would just keep drawing on the table, you know. But I guess I knew when. I mean, I don't remember this, but I guess I knew when I was done. Yeah. And then threw it off. And then she said, if you didn't put in her thing, a piece of paper, I would just draw on the table and just keep drawing. She's like, we just had to be near you and just keep putting paper, you know.
Damn.
And like, she's like, you were so obsessed, like we didn't.
That's so cool, though. And it's really awesome that you had that support of your mom, kind of just throwing the new pieces of paper in.
Yeah. And then she got me art lessons with, you know, like later on. Then she found this guy, that Cal Strobel, and he just passed away a few days ago.
Oh, damn.
You know, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But he taught me everything I know about art in terms of, or he gave me all the tools to be able to, you know, I mean, you got to work every day. I mean, I learned something new every day, but he really taught me, like, you know, how to see, how to draw, how to paint. I had to learn the chemistry of all the colors and their origins, and, you know, where they came from, and just all of that before I was allowed to even like touch, like, or actually make an actual painting, and to stretch the canvas and gesso it, and, you know, it's like the old master 17th century kind of stuff. But
wow, so he had you studying colors before you could even touch the.
Yeah, I had to know where each color, like, came from, and like different ways of like, because they make it differently, years ago versus now, and which ones are synthetic pigments, which ones aren't. So which ones hold up over the test of time, like over years, which ones don't. So I'll stay away from certain colors. Like I won't paint with certain colors just because I know that like, oh, that might disappear in, I don't know how many years, but maybe in like 100 years, that yellow's not going to be that yellow. So I'm
like after it dries, it'll or you won't be able to get.
It'll fade
access.
over time. Just like say if it's like a pigment that is not like a strong, like certain ones are more permanent.
Yeah.
And other ones are just more like they'll kind of dissipate. Like, I mean, throughout time, like all sorts of painters have used different colors that have changed. Because and you don't know because you're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in 500 years to this color, and
right, yeah.
But there are some colors we do know what's going to happen in 500 years, so I kind of stick to those colors. That way, like, because I'm all about leaving stuff behind, like when I'm dead. And gone, So I don't want to like.
So you do know that because you said, the 500 years because of artists back then.
Yeah,
colors
because
they used.
Yeah, if you look at museums right now, we know like different colors that Rembrandt used, and we're like, oh, well, that's held up perfectly. So. They're just,
And is there special things that you do to make sure that it'll hold up, or is it?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I mean, the whole thing is like, the entire process of making the painting is so archival. Or I usually follow like the old school like archival sort of methods to it to ensure or to try and ensure that, say in 500 years from now, like, these things will still be around and. Like, or I'll even add extra I'll leave extra canvas on the back of canvases to whenever I stretch them to make sure that like, say like in 500 years, if they're restretching it, they have extra canvas to work with. So 'cause I know it's easier to preserve the paintings like that, or just there's little tricks that just from conservators that will tell me like, oh, we do this or that, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do that with my paintings, so I know that like. It's like high five to someone in a couple 100 years, like make your job easier.
Yeah. So when you're saying stretch it, it's basically like if they're taking it off of the
off the original stretchers to like.
So then if they roll it up to
remount it or something like that,
ship it or whatever they're doing. Or?
Well, at that point they would just remount it onto like new stretchers or something, or like say if the support gets warped or something, they could just put it on a new one. But at that point it'd probably crack if it was like hundreds of years old, because you can still you could roll these things right now, but in like hundreds of years you wouldn't want to like. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
That seems crazy.
Yeah.
So what, like, how did you when you learn what each color was, and you learn the style of things, like, how did you choose what your sort of, I don't know how to word it, but basically you do a lot of oil paintings. Mm-hmm. What led you in that direction? Like, I know, like, for me, I started trying doing a couple watercolors, and like that was cool for a little, and then it was like, then I went into acrylic, and I felt like acrylic was more like easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Because like the watercolor is like, if it bleeds over there, you're like, crap, and then like with the acrylic, you're like, I messed it up. All right, well, I'll just put a little over top of that.
Fix that over here and over there.
Yeah. So oil, I feel like, is a super challenge, and it takes so long to dry, and
you have to have a lot of patience for that. Yeah, you wait for a lot of paint to dry.
Yes. Yeah. So when you got onto canvas first, like, what was your?
Well, I always wanted to paint the human figure. Was my primary, I think, source of inspiration.
Because of that experience.
Yeah. Seeing it at the museum, and then I think just in general, just my love for like just the human form, and just the fact that artists can represent that. Yeah. In some sort of medium, because it's just dirt mixed with oil, really, is paint.
And there's some human form right here.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
We have some flowers covering the human form, but
just the good parts.
Dude, this one is awesome too. And I'm like, oh, is somebody gonna flag that because it's like this natural beauty over here? But dude, I mean, you do an incredible job of the human form.
Thanks.
And so oil was sort of more the way to go with trying to do that?
Yeah, I think just because, I guess because of like the old masters doing it, and just seeing like, Rembrandt and all those painters just, pull off such, beauty and depth and realism with that paint. It just seemed like the natural thing to do. And, instead of like trying to reinvent the wheel or whatever, it's like, well, oil paint is fucking, that's where it's at. Like, yeah. And I'll paint in every medium. But at the same time, but when it comes down to it, oil is like, I think, the king of, of all paint mediums. Yeah.
And so then that takes longer, so you need more patience for.
Right. Yeah. And I'll work on multiple pieces at a time. That way, like, and just with my, I don't know, like, there's so many things I want to do at once, and there's so many projects, and I can't do just one thing at one time. It's like I have to jump around and be like, okay, I'm going to work on this one for 10 hours today, and then I'm going to hop on that one for a few hours, and then maybe this other one, and then I'll wake up, and then I'll work on this one again, and then another one, and I'll just work on multiple pieces at a time, because I'm too like ADHD or something. It's in high definition.
Yeah, because I was telling you that, like, I'll do the acrylic thing and it dries quicker, and even that I'm like, I gotta do something else because I have all this energy I need to get out.
Oh right, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So when you were young, you're going to the museums and learning through that, and then and who was your mentor again?
Oh, Cal Strobel.
Yeah, Cal Strobel.
And from Youngstown, Ohio.
And I can find a bunch of his art.
I'm sure. Yeah, probably on the internet. You can probably find.
Yeah, that would be cool to check.
I was taught in person, I guess, and that was before the internet was even around. So I guess I'm used to like the originals. Yeah.
And how did you come across him? Like,
my mom found him somehow. She heard about him being like a really good teacher.
Yeah.
And so she hit him up and said like, oh, my son's really into art. Would you teach him? And he's like, oh no, I don't teach kids. And she's like, no, but my son's different. Like, you just gotta meet him. Like, he's really into this. And he's like, well. Yeah. Okay, thank you, but sorry, like I'm not gonna, like I don't teach kids. And she's like, no, but he's like really into it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you.
Yeah. So she called him for a few years, and finally he was like agreed to meet me, And I was like, oh wow, like, this is crazy. And then so I remember going over there and like we hit it off so well. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah,
just like
kindred spirit. We draw this paper bag, and I guess it was like a test of his, where like you'd have to draw this crinkled up brown paper bag. And so I guess the whole test is the fact that like if you do it and love doing it, then like you're into art. But if you're like, oh, this is boring as a brown paper bag, well, I don't want to do it, and then he wouldn't teach you. And so,
that's a good move.
Yeah,
man.
But I remember being so into drawing that bag and trying to make it the most badass thing I've ever drawn.
Yeah.
And it probably looked like shit. I don't even know where the drawing's at anymore. But I remember doing that and being so into it and trying to make it, just giving it my all. And I guess that was like, I guess I passed his secret test. I didn't know about that till years later, that was his test to get into his thing.
But, so he eventually revealed that to you?
Like, years later,
That's awesome. Well, I love the fact that like it showed like your dedication, because your mom was asking him for years. Like, he probably kept hearing like, all right, maybe this kid does have some commitment to this.
Right,
And I bet you that's what's probably difficult if you take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Then it's like some kid's gonna be like, mom sent me over here. I don't even want to be here.
Right.
I feel like that would be like a waste of his time.
Like if you don't want it yourself, you're not gonna. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, he's like, I could be doing some art right now, but instead I'm babysitting.
Teaching this jackass over here. How to fucking make a painting. Make your own damn art, kid.
Shit on the canvas.
Yeah. No, but his greatest advice, I think all the time, my favorite thing he'd always say to me, he'd always say, keep it simple, stupid. Because I want to put like 12 figures in a piece or 20 figures, make some crazy Sistine Chapel type, And he's like, no, look at the Sistine, or look at like the David or like the Pieta or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just one or two figures. It's you don't need all this stuff going on to make a great piece of art. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So he'd always tell me that, because I'm trying to make some, like, I want angels to sing when you look at the work, but I learned to like, oh no, you don't, that can come out of a different place, without having to put like, 20 people in
And that makes perfect sense, because the first time I ever tried to paint, my buddy Mitchell, he's a tattoo artist from Richmond, and he, was doing tattoo art stuff forever, but then started painting and started getting into the painting stuff, and I was like blown away by his stuff. So I said, hey, I'm gonna come down for the weekend. I'm gonna stay over, hang out. I'm gonna get some art supplies. I want to try and paint, and maybe you could show me a couple things or whatever. And when I got there, I had this idea that I wanted to paint this rose that had flames coming out of it, and it was like this whole thing. And he was like, well, that's kind of ambitious for the first thing that you're going to do. And I was like, no, I'm doing it, like my headspace, like, nope, this is how it's going to go. And as soon as I start trying to like get the rows, doing this and do this. And then it just becomes this like blob mess of nothing shit. And he was like, oh no, you got to keep going. And I was like, nah, this is fucking terrible. And I looked at it. I was so discouraged. I didn't even want to do it. It made me want to quit. I was like, fuck this. And then it was all because I went, like, I didn't keep it simple, stupid. I literally went way above where I should be for the first attempt. And it discouraged me for years. And then I just started like a few months ago again. Wow. And it was funny because in that time, he said a couple things to me that really stuck with me, and then now this go around, like I'm having a better go at it. He was like, "Look, be patient. Don't expect immediate results. Right. If the first one's not very good, like do it again, do it again." He's like, and then think of it obviously in layers. Yeah. So you don't need to get to that end thing. And a lot of times when you're doing this, like the final touches are really what's going to bring it all together. Yeah. Right. And so just be patient, do it in layers, and don't expect too much too soon. Right. Yeah. And kind of do it like that. And as I started doing that, there was this moment where like it was like probably the second one I was doing, I was like, it all clicked. And I was like, oh shit, that's it. That's what I've been doing wrong this whole time. Was that I was just expecting too much too soon. Yeah. And I just wanted it all to look the way it was supposed to right away. And and I was doing this like flower for my wife. I was painting this flower thing. What is it? Peonies, because she likes peonies. So then I was painting it, and I'm sitting there for like 5 hours doing this thing. And I'm looking at it like, and it's like that. It's like the remembrance of like it's all falling apart, and I'm sitting there like, oh no. And then she came home from work and came in, and I was this close to the damn thing for 5 hours doing this. And she goes, "Oh wow, that looks great." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm looking at it, it looks terrible. And then I got up, walked back to where she was, and looked at it, and was like, "Oh. There's something there." I just needed to take the break, walk away from it, come back to it with a new perspective, and then try a different thing, and then go in a different direction. But I needed to be reminded of that. Like when she walked in, I was ready to be like, "Here it is again. It's all shit." But then I took that breather.
Take a step back.
So. Not just to make this about me at all, because I'm just this beginner thing, but I wondered how your process evolved over time, and I would love to hear, like in the beginning, if it did just come super easy, like because you went from drawing to painting, like did it make sense? But are you saying because you're
oh, sorry, the candles are on.
So
now you're extra goth.
So goth.
Welcome.
But your mentor really almost helped kind of create that patience in you before you even started.
Right.
So did that help the process? And did you find yourself frustrated in the beginning too at all? Or?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, I'll still get pissed off and smash a painting against something and throw it across the room. And sometimes I'll like it even more because then it puts some dent in it that looked better than like what I was trying to fucking pull off. Oh, now it works. But I mean, I'm constantly just like, I'll paint something and then 5 minutes later I hate it. And then so I try and like it for as long as I can because I'm like, I know I'm gonna hate this thing in a minute.
As soon as I put the final touches in, I hate it.
Because you're always trying to improve. You're always trying to just better your skills and just like I feel like I'm on like the that first rung of the ladder, and it's like
what
these old masters are up here, and I'm trying to.
You're a little higher than the first rung, but it's good to know you stay humble like that.
I'm trying to take some steps, but it's a lifelong process of. I mean, I think Michelangelo was like 87 or something years old when he said that he was like, "Oh, I'm still learning," and it's like. that's amazing that,
Yeah.
or he's just now learning how to do it or whatever he said, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets reincarnated into some little baby, and some little baby's right away like, oh, it's just beautiful. Like, fuck you, kid. Just instantly good at it. And you're that kid.
Oh,
when
shit.
You're,
No.
yeah. It's like, you know, you're just wandering into some museum at 10 years old or 8 years old. And, but that's, I mean, it's good to know, I think, for myself, and I think other people that want to give it a try, like, it's never too late to get started doing it.
Right.
And it's good to know that people that are so good at it struggle with it.
Oh,
and, and still like have to push through certain things.
Right. Yeah.
So along the way, what kind of helped you to find your style? Was it like was music a big influence into
Huge
you?
influence. Yeah, huge influence. Yeah, there's I mean I listen to music all the time.
Yeah.
When I paint.
Yeah, when we came in, there was some
all
awesome
sorts of music. Yeah. And I guess just growing up, just kind of like raised by MTV, you know, or since, you know, as out of school, it was like, well, I'm going to watch MTV, constantly while I'm drawing and painting. Yeah. And, you know, it was just like such a huge,
This is when MTV had music, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah. So what are some of the musical influences? Like,
I'd say like a lot of Nine Inch Nails is a huge influence on my, and like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
I like a lot. I mean, Mozart is another one of my big influence. Or I guess
oh wow,
there's so many. It's like
so like there'll be times when you're painting, you have Mozart on. Like,
oh yeah, I mean,
does that affect the mood? Like, does your mood affect what comes out on the canvas?
Yeah, I think it all kind of like goes into it, because I can tell, like, say if I'm listening to like Mozart's Requiem or something, like that will like sort of instill a certain spirit into the painting or into myself, and then it goes into the painting, however that, you know, transfers. But and then say if I'm listening to you know, like Pretty Hate Machine, it's like, oh, that's a whole different thing, and then Misfits come on, and then it's like, you know, but then it's like Beethoven or something, you know, and it kind of like, but it's just whatever I feel like my brain just wants, or my heart, or whatever, you know, whatever it is that
you're feeling
that, but somehow like the music, it completely makes it like it transcends, or somehow it like transfers into the art, I think, or something, or the influence, like it's really definitely there. That's
cool. And so I know, because I'll say, like, you know, if I could compare it, I'm just starting, trying to figure this out.
Right.
And I know for me, like when I sent a thing to my buddy, you know, I had looked at reference, like I look at a photo or a picture of something, and then try to recreate, and then maybe put a little bit of something on. Did you start in that way at all, or was it always like something of the imagination, or?
I think it was both. Yeah,
Okay.
it was whatever I could get my hands on, I guess, as far as like, because I always want to do from life. When I was younger, I always want to do from life, and then I was finally able to, or once I started working from life, that was when I saw that was the key to everything in terms of like learning how to draw and paint. It's a lot harder than working from a photo, because a photo, it's already 2D. And you work from a live model, or even a still life or whatever, it's 3D, so you got to make the 3D into 2D. But then your imagination, like, you just draw whatever's in your head, so that kind of becomes like, I don't know if you say that's the easiest, or even sometimes people say that's the hardest, because then you got to make it up all up yourself, you know. But I don't know. So I guess it's kind of each person, that's their own thing. But like, but I guess in drawing from life, like that was like I think in doing that, that's the way to actually like really learn how to like draw and paint. But it makes it so you'll make a ton of just like shitty paintings, but then you don't have to show them to anybody, you know, just fucking burn them. And it's like, you know, and then just like keep working.
That's therapeutic in itself.
Like, go through like learn the craft and develop it, and then it's
so that's like, you'll have a live model.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I prefer to do. Yeah, to have like a live person right there, because then because otherwise, if you're taking a photo, it's like you're cheating yourself out of like the whole experience of like recording that whole like time,
energy or whatever that's in the room too.
Yeah, because you're really recording time. It's not just an image. It's like that whole experience of like, painting them and like what the sounds, the smells, the lighting, the darkness. I mean, all of it. It all comes into this like, or I guess somehow it comes into you and then it goes into the canvas. But it's like, if you it's like you're limited by if you do it from photo, it's like you're limited by the amount of colors that are in the camera or the computer or whatever you're looking at versus the human eye, where you can see so many more colors than what machines can. And so like it's like I feel like every time I work from a photo, I just feel limited, where I'm like, oh, I can't see it as well. The depth isn't there's no depth here. It's just, I mean, you can see it, but you know. So I would always try and do like live model stuff, but then I like as a kid I was never allowed, and then I'd ask my art teacher, I'd be like,
get some naked.
We need to draw a naked lady, and he's like, we're not drawing a naked lady. Your mother will kill me. And I'm like, yeah, but like I want to do it like I want to draw like the old masters and paint and like Michelangelo did that, and he's like, yeah, but your mother will kill me. And I'm like, well, but I want to learn. He's like, here, use these figure drawing books. You can draw from and so I copy all these drawings and old masterpieces and that, and then. Yeah, finally, like when I was 15, I went to the Cleveland Museum of Art, or the Art Institute there, or whatever, and my grandparents took me because I think like whatever night of the week they had like figure drawing, and you could go, and so I was so excited. I was like, oh wow, I get to go to figure drawing. Like I finally get a live model. It's like and we went and I remember coming back to my grandparents' car and my grandpa's like, how'd it go? And I was like, well, it was all right. I mean, it was like, okay. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I thought you were like all wanted to do this. And I was like, yeah, but it was a dude model. And he was like, he thought it was the funniest thing. He laughed so hard, like all the way home. He was like, And I was like, oh man, I was so excited. I'm like, finally, I get to draw a naked lady.
Man.
And I'm like, 15. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so badass. And then it's like, oh fuck, it was a totally like a dude. I'm like, man, like,
oh, that's such a letdown.
I found out like once a week they changed it every other. So next Wednesday was a lot better, but or whatever. It was like.
All I was thinking of is there's that skit with Will Ferrell where he comes in and he like disrobes for all of it. He's like, oh yeah, he's like the thinker or the stinker, whatever. It's like you're like, yeah, oh what? Especially being a 15-year-old kid. I mean, you're dying to get your eyes on a live naked woman, but yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I love your grandpa's just like, kid.
He loved that.
Those are the breaks.
Like, oh man,
You've been dying to get this. Man, that's so
enjoy.
Funny. Yeah. So were you in programs outside of high school, or was that like? Yeah,
it was like separate from. I mean, like, and I had great teachers in high school too, and so I mean, it was like it was a great. I don't know. I guess I was constantly surrounded by all these good teachers, but I think it was like. But everything I did outside of class, well, I guess I always had a tough time in school, like trying to focus and trying to not draw during class. And
oh, you mean on stuff other than
just
the
in
art?
General, like as far as like I would get horrible grades in college, and I dropped out of art school. I mean, I tried for a minute, and then even high school though, I would just draw all the time in all my classes and not pay attention to. I mean, I was paying attention, but like they didn't think I was. But then I was learning this stuff. But then I guess through osmosis or something. But I was just so obsessed with drawing. I was like, I don't give a shit about this stuff. Like, I need to work on like my form on whatever, and so I'd be like, drawing whatever and getting in trouble all the time for it. So my grades reflected it, but I was learning a lot, but not what they wanted me to learn, or not always like what they.
I never understood that, and I guess because public school or things like that, they have to kind of have the cattle mentality of like we just gotta kind of move them through and get them the well-rounded, all these different subjects and things like that. But I always wondered, people like yourself, that it's clearly they're excelling in this area. Why not make that more of the focus of their curriculum?
Like a hyper specialized.
Hey, art is your deal, and then you do got to do a little bit of math and science in that. Let's focus more on that. And I guess maybe there are the charter schools schools and the school system that are other types of private schools that will focus more so on that maybe in high school. I don't know enough about it, but I always wondered that when I was going through, because I was just more interested in doing stupid shit on camera.
Yeah, right.
And then like
being a fucking genius at it.
A lot of people would argue that, but but you know, I think
start thanking the Academy now.
Right,
you deserve.
But you know, I wanted to spend more time doing that. Bam wanted to spend more time doing that. D. Camillo wanted to spend more time doing that because that was what and Dunn, like that was what really kind of turned us on, and that's exciting. And then you're like, okay, I got to do, you know, math and science or whatever, which is, I get it for being well-rounded, but even like graphic arts, those classes, photography and woodshop, those are the classes for me that just came so natural that like, I love this, you know, but then the other parts is like, all right, and now I studied enough to do what I got to get. And so it's funny, like I bet a lot of kids find that to be a thing, you know, where you're like, you want to focus more on it. So you went outside of school as well as, and then had your site, you know, your mentor and help you do that. And so you mentioned a little bit that you did go to an art school, like an art college or whatever.
I went for a little bit, and then I went for I guess like 2 years, and but. I failed drawing one, painting one, all the basic, because I wasn't doing their assignments. Well, I pretended like I couldn't draw and paint, so that like I would turn in my assignments, and I was getting A's and B's and whatever, you know. But I was making it like I pretended like I couldn't draw, so I was kind of like doing whatever. And then they would turn it in. They're like, "Oh, that's good," and kind of pat you on the back. And I'm like, "Oh man, that's so awful." Like,
you're testing
what's going on? Yeah, totally fucking with them. Well, I'm trying to see what I can get away with because I'm like, I don't want to do these assignments because I need to work on like I want to learn all this old master stuff. You know, I don't want to. I could care less about like I already know complementary colors and all these kind of. You know, it's like
it was kind of stepping.
They
way
start
back.
you off like you're as if you've never drawn or painted before. So I'm like, whoa, I thought this was gonna be all the like really advanced stuff. Like this is crazy. Like. I hate school. I don't know. I'm just going to go to figure drawing all the time. And so I would go figure drawing and, skip my other classes. And then I met these guys that were making Fallout 3, like the video game.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, if you drop out of school, we'll move you to California and you can be our concept artist on the game and you can draw Fallout. And I was like,
oh, shit.
Oh, my God. I'll totally like, okay, yeah. And so I dropped out of school and just, they flew me to Newport Beach or, moved me to Newport. And, I just started like, I was back in like,
what? So that's how then it
99, 2000. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I started working on Fallout in school and just scanning stuff and emailing it to the studio and like because I was like, screw my assignments. Like I want to draw like post-apocalyptic,
Hell yeah.
Zombies and shit. Yeah. And then so then that got me to California. Like and then I worked for them for year or however many years, like doing that stuff, and then
damn, that's rad.
And then started.
So
just
you
doing my
met
own
them
path
there?
I met them out here. I was just partying on spring break.
Oh, okay. So you didn't meet them at the art college?
Oh no, yeah. Okay. It was when I was going to school. I just came out here during spring break. During my second year, and then they were like, I went to because I used to carry my sketchbook like wherever everywhere, and just because I'm always drawing, and then but not gonna bring my iPad or whatever and sketch and do whatever, But and I happened to have my book with me, and then they saw my stuff, and then there's my friends like, hey, you want a tour of the video game company because I work here, and
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, I want a tour of the company. Like I love video games, and,
yeah.
And then it's like I love that company and stuff, and then it worked out where like they just like, like check out my friend's sketchbook, and I showed him, and then he's like. Hey kid, you want a job? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Like, hell yeah, that's a great spring break.
Just like, best spring break of my life.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay, cool. So then that's what made the jump. And you said you went to Newport Beach or?
To Newport for a few years and then up to Hollywood and just around LA, like downtown, and
Okay, and so then did that lead to other opportunities? And
I started doing a lot of the Marvel films, like doing concept art for creatures and all that kind of stuff, because those films started coming out there around that time.
Yeah,
and I needed someone that could do figurative work and could draw digitally, and so I could do both because I learned them at the. Well, I mean, I already learned how to draw before, but then at the game company, they taught me how to do digital painting. So then I was able to do that. So then I got hired on like all those Marvel films, and so it was awesome just drawing all these it was so much fun just like we need this creature, then that creature, and that. And
Holy shit!
And then Pirates of the Caribbean came about, and all these other films, and I got to do all these different, designs for films, and yeah, it was crazy all this film stuff was going on. But then I kept getting my name taken out of the credits because I didn't want to get known for that at all, and I was worried that like because those films go everywhere, well, people can find out like you drew those creatures or whatever kind of things. And I'm like, well, I'm a fine artist, like this is like that's what's in my heart. So like I like drawing that stuff, but then I didn't want to get known for it. So then producers would be like, what's wrong with you? Like I'm arguing all day long with people about they want their name in the credits.
Yeah.
You're the only person I've ever fought with that wants their name out of the credits. And like, I don't know, because I'm a fine artist. Like, I'm a painter. Like, I'm not trying to get known for drawing like, Spider-Man or whatever kind of things. But
yeah,
I like to draw it, and it's good money. But it's like, I'm not trying to like, I like to do it because I'm like my inner 13-year-old loves it, But, yeah.
But you're like,
but I thought,
you had to kind of preserve the direction you were going as an artist.
Right, yeah, I felt like but to really be true to like my whole soul, like not just my heart and whatever, but like everything. It's like, oh no, really, like I'm a painter at heart or a drawer or artist. I mean, it's all art. I mean, it's not. I guess. But I think but I just felt like, I don't know, however I perceive myself or whatever my
well,
being,
and I hate this
like,
word, but like you didn't want to be branded as the guy that just does that.
Right, yeah, I didn't want to be just like a commercial like, oh, doing whatever, like, yeah. And
then you wanted to be more of true to what your style was.
Yeah, I felt that, I felt and still feel that I'm meant to make like paintings or to hopefully live on for hundreds of years, like in like museums and galleries and collections, and that'll not be just like a it's like right now I'm just like, oh, fuck all this, I don't know, like whatever, but like I want myself to live on and be like
absolutely. So okay, so you do the Marvel stuff for a while, you're doing the movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, and then where did you make a shift?
Oh,
like from,
I guess after doing that for however many years, like I just I felt like I was giving half myself to commercial work and half myself to fine art, and it wasn't what like my soul was like, oh no, you need to just like be a painter. So I started turning down jobs and being like, thank you, but like I just got like paint, and I figured like if I gave one thing 100% instead of both things, or two things 50%, I was like, well, it's got to work out, because I'll just put all my eggs into one basket, and that always works, right? Because of course it doesn't, but
putting all my eggs in the MTV basket. Will Ferrell's again, he's all over this thing. But there is so much truth to that, and the power of no, which is crazy, because if you're in a scenario where you're doing stuff for Marvel movies, you're doing stuff for Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean or however you say it.
Whatever the hell.
If you're doing that stuff, most people are going, I made it. You know what I mean? Most people are going, oh, I made it. And now this is the guaranteed paycheck, and then this is that. But the power of no is incredible, that you have the guts to say no to that. To be true to yourself artistically and to follow that. That takes a lot of guts to do that, because like I said, most people, there's your safe road right there.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? And I think nothing great is accomplished in safety.
True.
But that's staying true to the art, because if you don't do that, like if you don't go 100% into fine art, then you never know what you missed
what
there.
You're capable of or whatever. Yeah. True.
Man, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I'm pretty blown away by the fact that you have the guts to do that, man.
Oh, no, that's cool.
Really
Thank you. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So you shift more back into the fine arts, and then you just give it 100%.
Yeah, so I just and then started meeting collectors that were really supportive of my work, and then they started acquiring my work, and then I was able to live off that, and instead of like working on movie jobs too, and or doing both or whatever, like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna live off the fine art, and so I guess I mean I feel thankful for, or so grateful for some of my collectors that are, or that were willing to take a chance on, I don't know, buying my work and supporting my stuff. Yeah. Because it made it so I was able to,
to live and
create,
continue to
create.
Yeah.
Just be an artist. Yeah.
And I feel like that's the whole thing, is being able to sustain yourself and continue to, create what you're the most passionate about.
Right.
Which I mean, when you think back to Rembrandt and you know and artists from the old, a lot of them weren't able to sustain a regular lifestyle. Right. Pay for dinner or whatever they had to do in order to do what they're doing, and they're struggling so bad. And then after the fact, they become something. You know, I mean, I don't know enough about art history, but you could probably educate me on that more so. Like, was Rembrandt like poor as he was doing it? Or,
I mean, I guess he died poor, but I think various times in his life, I guess he had money, you know, from some different commissions and that, but. I think like his wife passed away, and there's just various like, you know, towards the end I think it was just like a downward spiral, so to speak, but then it's like it's all about like the legacy that's like the you know, the most important part. I remember time I was at a rehearsal for Mötley Crüe, and Nicky invited me. He's like, "Hey, come watch us play. Like, we're gonna go on tour in like 2 days or something."
Yeah.
And so I went over there, and they're fucking with Mick Mars about like how he doesn't know what day of the week it was, and I never know what the day of the week it is. Because like I'm a painter. It's like it doesn't matter if it's Monday or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I'm just gotta create.
Yeah.
And so they're messing with him, and he's like, "It doesn't matter. Like, I'll be at the show. You guys know I'll show up, and blah blah. I'll be there." You know? And he's like, "It doesn't matter. You know, it's all about what you leave behind. It's all about your legacy." You know. And he looked at me. And he's like, "You know, you have your art. We have our music. It's all about our legacy." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And inside, I'm like, "Oh my god!" Mick Mars just compared me to, you know, I'm like,
Sweet.
yeah.
That's the moment where you're like, I've made it, rather than doing the Marvel movies and all that shit. You're like, damn, Mick Mars just put me there. And like, all right, and it's humbling too, because you realize the legacy that Mötley Crüe leaves is incredible. And then you know, and that's got to be such an awesome feeling.
I know, it was amazing to be like, even in the room with all those guys. I mean, you know, friends with them, but still, it's like every time I see them, I'm like, oh, these guys this is some fucking magic here. And
for real.
Yeah, man. But it was like a good reminder of like, oh yeah, it's all about your legacy. You know, it doesn't matter what, like, you know, what happens today or tomorrow, whatever little things that go on in life or whatever. It's all about like, what you leave behind.
It doesn't matter if it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday.
Fuck it.
Fuck
doesn't
that.
Matter.
Just get deep
as long
into
as you're
what
having a good time and you're making something that
you know what,
and value or something,
and that is so true. Like thinking about that, you know, when it's all said and done, is there stuff you can leave behind? And I think that's what's really cool when you think about it. You know, obviously we lost Ryan Dunn.
I know, he's such a good guy.
And such an amazing dude, but he did also at the same time leave behind some awesome memories, some hilarious stuff that's on footage, and I get to, you know, you can whenever you want go back and look and watch and feel like he's right there.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's a rad thing, because I have other friends that I lost that weren't maybe in the arts, and so now I can look at a photo, or maybe there's a little clip of a video somewhere on somebody's wedding or something there's that guy or that girl. But with Ryan, it's like, there is a collection of work there to look back on him and go, damn, all right, like my boy's right there, you know. And it feels like you can feel that when you go back and watch.
That's amazing.
And it kind of puts that into perspective of you know, leaving your mark with your creative expression.
Right.
And that's cool. So you're in the mix with Mötley Crüe, and then, you know, and I also know that Kat Von D is you know, is a good friend of yours, and she's also
my greatest supporter, I think.
And isn't it cool though? I think, like, for me, because I was, you know, I'm buddies with all the guys in the band CKY,
right,
and we all grew up together. But I'm also a fan of theirs, you know, so it was like, it's like, on top of me being your close friend, I've known you my whole life. I'm actually just a fan of what you're doing too.
Right.
And I remember I would tour with them, and they'd be like, "Oh, Rab, like, you know, I'll go out and I'll say, hey, CKY's coming out." You get them chanting, then you jump off stage, and they'll be like, "Oh, you can hang back here or something." I'm like, dude, I'm going into the middle of the crowd. I want to be right where it is. I want to see what it's like you know, because I'm a fan of the band. I just want to see what it is to be out here watching the show.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing happened with Queens of the Stone Age, because Danger Aaron is buddies with Josh.
Oh, that's crazy.
From Queens. And so we go and we're hanging out and we're backstage with all them.
Good show. I've seen them.
Fucking incredible. And we were at this like opera house in Portland, dude. It sounded so amazing. But we were backstage, and I remember looking at Aaron being like, dude, I'm going to the crowd. Like, I just want to go out there, hear what the show is, experience the show, be in the energy of what that show is.
Right.
And it was so fun to be out there. And I mean, fuck, they sound incredible live, and especially in an opera house where the acoustics
that must be really
amazing.
Yeah.
But then we got to hang out with them afterwards, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a part of what, like, you get the experience of going to their show. And so I'm sort of kind of comparing that a little bit to, like, you know, Kat is your friend, but also she's clearly a fan of your work because she supports you so much. So I could relate to that of going, yeah, I'm your close friend, but I also just want to be back here and experience this.
Right.
Because it's like the Wizard of Oz sort of thing. Like, you almost don't want to pull up that veil of what it is to see you doing your work. It's like, I just want to see it when it's done, and when it's done, it's like, oh my God, you're blown away.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
Same thing with it when the band's making an album.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I get to hear it when you know, sometimes you get to hear it a little bit in little increments, and that's rad too. But at the end, when it's done, you're just like, what? You know, listen to this thing blown away. And, and same thing with your work, like you had mentioned, you'll put something up, and then it's just like, all right, that one's mine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's a good feeling that people love your stuff so much that as soon as it's up, they're. So has that been a big help to have friends like Mötley Crüe, Kat Von D? And people like that are supportive? Has that helped even more so for you to really just know to be true to yourself and do what you're doing?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Because there are countless paintings that I would make that I would be thinking while I'm painting them, like, why the hell am I doing this right now? Because I like, you know, like, I should probably like sell something, or I need to sell something right now, whatever, and like, no one's gonna buy this thing. This is like some girl, like, you know, upside down, whatever, no head. I don't know, whatever it may be.
But you were feeling it though.
Yeah, I needed to paint that. Yeah. I felt like, oh, this is a piece I need to just, you know, make. Yeah, and so I make it. I paint it anyway, and you know, whatever it may be. And I can't tell you how many times like I would make those types of paintings, and then those would be the ones that, like, you know, Kat or, you know, whoever would be like, oh, I have to have that one. I'm like, wait, really? Like, you like this? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think, like, okay, all right, well, you know she's crying blood, right? Like, yes, I know that. I'm like, okay, I'm just like, okay, I don't know, like, yeah, if you like it, like, all right, you can buy it, you know?
Yeah, you're like, I love it.
Are you crazy? Like, of course I want this. I'm like, I don't know what. Yeah. But I just assume no one's gonna like, you know, you just paint, and you're just like, oh fuck, I'm just painting for myself, you know? So it's like, I'm happy with paint. I mean, I still, like, you know, hate half the things as I work on them, but it's like you're just trying to fulfill your own sort of just desire to create, I guess. And then it's like, okay, if the world likes it, they like it. If they hate it, they hate it. I don't know. Yeah, but then you just, and then, like, she happens to be one that likes it, I guess. And then
But there's such an amazing lesson in that, I feel like, because okay, there's one you can do for a commission that you're like, you know, you're gonna make the quick buck, and that's gonna help. But then when you stay true to what it is, and there's this fear of, man, I do gotta kind of work. I do got to kind of do something. I got to put some food on the table or whatever.
Right.
But when you stay true to yourself and you do that one, it's this fearful kind of moment. But then it's like kind of the universe like rewarding you for staying true to that.
Oh, right.
At that moment, and then all of a sudden somebody wants it at the end. It's kind of like solidifying, like, oh, stick with what I'm interested in.
Yeah, stay true to whatever you're feeling in your heart.
Yeah, because I've found that even with, you know, whether you're doing something in front of a camera or whatever, it would be these moments of, oh, well, I should probably do this because somebody thinks that's funny or whatever it is. And there's these other moments where you're like, I'm just more interested in this direction right now.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you go back and try and do whatever you think somebody might like, it feels so contrived, and it doesn't, and that shines through, and then you're damned if you do or you don't, because they're like, ugh, that was so put on, and then you're like, but then you didn't get to do what you truly wanted to go after. It's such a struggle with that, and I just feel like in what you were just saying, it's really a lesson in stay true to what you're doing, and even if you're scared or whatever, just keep pushing through that and keep doing that.
Just make whatever art you need to make, because it's like if like any of the bands that we love, or say like if Nine Inch Nails were to like make what they thought like people wanted them to make, what the fuck would that be?
How good it would be, bubblegum 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, I mean, that'd just be man,
head like a hole, dark as your soul. You're like, no, Trent, don't do that.
Don't do it.
But dude, I know it is, but that's such a rough area to be in, I think, especially if you do need to eat, if you're not able to cover your living or whatever. It's such a hard spot to be, to push through. And how many times are there the powers that be that'll be like, I don't get this is terrible. I think I was watching the Elton John movie, and he's in the meeting, and it's like so cliche at this point, but it is that meeting of this like record exec that's just like not into anything and doesn't know what anybody likes, and then has to nowadays has to show their teenager, is this cool? And but at that moment he's like, I just don't get it, and Elton John's playing like whatever Tiny Dancer or something something that's like this monumental song, and you're
epic.
Like, the guy didn't get that, it's like, but you have to push through that, knowing in yourself that there's something here, and I have to get, and that's a struggle, because there is so many no's when you hear about the story of Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. A bunch of people didn't want to make that movie. Then he goes around and then they want to make it without him, and then he's like, no, you have to, and he has to keep staying true, and it comes to be his best work, and he has a whole franchise of this thing.
That's crazy.
There's those stories like that, and you realize, because that creative person stayed true to themselves, kept with it, kept going after it, and pushed through.
Right.
But that's a scary moment. I mean, you've had it yourself. Marvel and Pirates of the Caribbean are there, and then you're going, nah, I need to stick to this. But when you do that, then all of a sudden people like Mötley Crüe and
it's like you're rewarded for the fact that you're like doing what you're meant to do, versus like whatever you're accepting, like I don't know, I feel like when you're doing like certain, I mean, not to down all corporate anything, or I don't know, I'm not like against corporate, or big movie things or whatever, by any means, but it's like, but say if you're like, it's like you're kind of like, if you stay true to whatever
you need to do,
things that aren't guaranteed money or guaranteed like then it's like, it's like what it's like universe or whatever is like kind of like telling you like keep doing that, like just keep stay on that path, and it's like perseverance is
and like you said, like nothing against like, because the Marvel movies are amazing, and they're entertaining, and same with Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's somebody else's dream.
Right.
And like that's somebody else's creative vision. That you're just sort of helping
I'm doing some
guide
sketches
along.
and stuff and paintings along the just to kind of like guide the, or just to kind of like contribute to the,
and so that person is staying true to themselves, or that group of people that are creating that. But you're recognizing you need to go this other way, and so when you face those moments, like how do you kind of push through that? Like how do you I think in those moments of, do you second guess yourself at some of those times?
I mean, I don't know. I always felt like it was like a very like strong force, or this internal like like where it wasn't even like a whole lot of decision making, because I just knew, I was like, oh no, this is me, and like I have to go down this path, and this isn't like, even though this one's kind of easy right now because I can just go to the movie studio and go draw some things and then get some money, and then it's like, okay, that's like, it's like, but then I'm like, yeah, but I'm like feeling kind of empty.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know this, but that didn't like satisfy like, I don't know, this internal like, I don't know. I need to be a painter and have paintings on, you know, big walls in the museums and these dark candlelit rooms and just, you know, I wanted to. I don't know. I just saw a whole different other future for myself and just and I was already doing that type of, or I mean, not in museums at that point, but you know, just in my own studio and just you know, it's just a whole other feeling when you're in some like, you know, dark room with paintings and just candles and. You know, it's like you experience the art in a different way than if you're like if it's on screen and moving and bright lights and it's a film.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a whole other different kind of like, you know,
and that kind of comes back to
creativity, but
that kind of comes back to what you were saying in the beginning when you first wanted to paint like live people or live like it's the smell and the feel and
all of it.
It's sort of you're kind of circling back to that same like tone or that same vibe of
I feel like all the movie stuff was just kind of like a I don't know, like an appetizer along the way, so to speak. You know, where it's like, okay, this is the main course. Like, this is just get my feet wet. You know? And then I'm gonna go do the real stuff, and I feel like that's the fine art stuff. You know. And so
And so you mentioned like museums and stuff. Has some of your work been put into like museums, or do you have?
Yeah, there are a few museums, and the Butler Museum that just had I just had a show, or the one where I grew up going to. Yeah. You know, seeing paintings and being like, oh wow, this is like where I saw that painting at for the first time. Yeah. Like that museum gave me a show. I've had 2 shows there now.
Damn.
But it's funny because the first one, I think I was like 21, and it was in the basement. And it was like, you know, this like, you know, but I was so
He's
thrilled.
Coming up.
Oh, but I was happy though. I was honored. I was like, wow, I don't care.
21 years old.
I could be in the fucking parking lot. I don't care. I am honored to be even on your property. You know, like I was excited.
Hell yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I was And then just a few months ago, they gave me a show up on the top floor, and so that's where all the, you know, where you want to be more so, I guess.
Yeah. But that's so cool because, dude, 21 years old. I mean, come on.
It's such a blessing to have.
And that's what I was feeling like. It's like, you know, you're on your way, and if it's like, okay, you were down in this one that was a little off the beaten path in that section of their museum. You're still on your way, and they're taking notice, and that's got to be an incredible feeling.
Oh no, it felt really good to every time the curator would like, because my grandfather would bring me there, and the curator, Dr. Zona, would always come and say, you know, like I remember one day he came over and he's like, looking at my sketchbook, he's like, who are you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like,
Kevin.
I got dirt and candy on my fingers. You know, like some kid,
little pop rock,
some dirty punk rock kid in the museum. Just like doesn't want me getting his paintings dirty.
Oh man. But
then I was always drawing in there and stuff, you know. And then and they let me bring oil paints in there then and paint like in high school and stuff. And
oh damn.
And then so I was always in there doing, you know, master copies and. And then recently they gave me a show, and then now I'm going to do a self-portrait for the permanent collection. So I'll get to paint. I'll actually get to have a painting of me like in the museum. So it's crazy that I'll get to live on in there in like a weird, mysterious kind of way, kind of like in a painting. Man,
that's got to just be incredible validation.
Oh, it's such a great honor. It's
like coming from being a young kid and seeing this and going and feeling that spark there, and that's what turned you on to your life's path. Right. And then now it's like it's validated. In putting you back in there.
Right.
That's so cool. And so do you have other do you have shows in LA at all sometimes? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. The last big show was at Wonderland. Or was it Wonderland Gallery, the Katz Gallery that she had over by High Voltage? And so that was a big. I mean, she had that show. It went on for like 3 years because she kept getting people. It was only supposed to be, I think, a few months.
Oh wow!
And it ended up being like 3 years. That was like, I don't know. I thank her all the time for it still. I'm like, thanks for doing that big show because that was crazy.
Man.
And so, you know, I'm developing one right now for LA. I can't say anything about it yet because it's still in the works. But yeah, I'm working on a show right now they'll be in LA.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a big, hopefully it'll be a big show. I don't know. We'll see what.
Do you know, like, can you talk about timeline or not even?
We're still working on the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out when it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because of getting everything together for it. Like, and
Yeah.
I want to make a lot of new work for it that hasn't been made yet. So
okay, cool.
I need more time too to make more. I was trying to make it like in the next few months, but yeah, with all my ideas, I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a little bit later than that. Yeah.
No, it's rad because I think when I called you, it was like, hey, let's do a podcast. You're like,
oh yeah,
cool, and then you're like, oh man, I've been working like crazy, like come on, you know, and I was like,
I need more time.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I don't want to interrupt that at all. I was like, I'll come over when you got time and whatever. But yeah, I was like, the last thing I want to do is interrupt the creativity and what's happening and doing that.
There's so much going on, you know. It's
yeah. So when you do your art galleries and stuff like that, is it always new work, or do sometimes is it work that you've done over a period of time and then you
That's
do
a good question. Yeah. It depends on the show. Some shows are just all new work, and some shows I'll borrow some pieces back and maybe have some new work. And then other shows will just be of like older work. But like the museum show I just had was of like, I think it was about 30 pieces, and almost all of them were borrowed from different collections, just because they were sort of, I try to kind of show the highlights, I guess, of whatever I've made. I guess even though I see them and I'm like, oh man, I could do better, or I want to try and do better, or whatever it may be, you know. But so it's kind of like a tough thing even to seeing them. But I guess so that show was mostly borrowed works from different collections around the world.
So like the people that collect your stuff, you can kind of get back in touch with.
Yeah,
them.
Because I like to stay in touch with people that I like to know people that own my work, so that it's not like, because they're all like my darlings, you know,
right? Yeah,
so to speak.
Your babies. I mean,
yeah. So I don't just go to anybody.
I like darlings better, but yes.
Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You can call me daddy. It's okay. But you know, it's like I don't want the paintings just to go to anybody. It's like I want to know where they're going and who has them, and kind of keep track of them, you know, so that like I can kind of like, I mean, I used to have clauses when I'd sell a painting, and I would say, you know, I have visitation rights. I can give you 2 weeks notice, and I can come see any painting. Just because I had this thing, I would get anxiety if I didn't see the painting. And
that's hilarious. It's like they're adopting it.
Yeah, and it's like even this one is the collector owns it. I borrowed it back from the museum, and I still haven't given it back to him because I have all this anxiety every time I try to go. And the delivery guy hasn't called me back, so I'm like, okay, I'm glad that guy's not being responsible, because I can be irresponsible, because it works out, because I want to be around it a little bit longer, because I know once I give it back to him, I'm not going to see it for I don't know when the next show will be, or if I'll ever see it again, or I don't even know. You know, you don't know what life will entail. It's like I always get so like
wow, that's really cool to know that.
Yeah, they're all so personal, you know. So it's not. I
was thinking one more thought was like, how do you know when it's done? Like, because like you said, you see the old work and you're like, oh, I could have done this so much better. How hard is it to know, you know what, I'm done, and I probably could have, but I've got to let it go?
Oh yeah,
like that process.
Sometimes you have to do it where you're like, okay, this shit's due right now, and I gotta.
Oh yeah, deadline.
I gotta haul ass and just make some sweet highlights and pull this thing off right now.
Yeah,
and I gotta do my best.
Yeah,
and you somehow, you know, you hope you did it, you know. But so there are times where, I mean, I love pressure, you know. So it's like, say if there's like, where I'm like, oh, I owe like all this stuff right now, and it's due whatever time, and like, I love that feeling of like, okay, I have to perform my very best right now.
Yeah, like under the gun.
It's do or die.
Yeah.
And I feel like like I kind of thrive off that versus like, oh, I have all this time to do. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna wait a while and just like party my ass off right now, and draw whatever the hell I want to do and do whatever, you know. And like, I mean, I'm making art every day, but still, it's like, I mean, I say I'm partying all the time, you know, but it's like, just do whatever I feel like. But then it's like, oh, but I have to get this thing done for that. It's like, I'll wait until there's like more pressure, because I feel like it helps me like pull it off even better. Yeah. Because then it makes it so like the performance, so to speak, with like the creation of the work is like
some adrenaline
like,
starts happening.
So now there's more more adrenaline, I guess, and more of like there's more of a fire to it or something, versus like taking my time, making sure everything's all perfect. Like I feel like I desire more of that, like just more passion with each piece, so that oh, I have to make this badass right now.
Yeah.
And if not, like, well, I fucked up, you know,
Yeah.
and so you just try not to screw up, and
Yeah. Dude, well, I mean, it's been awesome sitting with you and listening to you, and I would love at some point if you would ever kind of help guide me a little bit if you had time to do that. Like,
hell yeah, I would love
just
that.
like give me some pointers.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I know my one buddy, when he just those couple little things really helped, and I'm blown away by your art. And it would be such an honor if you would give me some little pointers just to keep me moving.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. I would love to. Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Hell yeah,
yeah. Thanks for doing all this. Thanks for thanks for having me. And
thanks for coming on the Bathroom Break podcast, dude.
Amazing.
It's been so fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll have to give a little look for the listeners. It'll be on YouTube, but we'll give a little look into some of the art if that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's an honor. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, brother.
Hell yeah.